Hello, my name is Natalie Williams. I'm from Eye Candy Makeup Store, where I am one of the makeup artists. And today I'm going to show you how to do a highlight and contour look, something for the day. This look is inspired by Kim Kardashian. I like her makeup. It's nice and soft, subtle, and you still have some pop in there because of the overall look. And so I'm going to show you what I do step by step, and just tune in. So the first thing I'm going to begin by doing is I'm going to just give myself a little lip treatment because my lips, I know my lips get a little dry. I'm just using a lip treatment from Clinique. I'm just going to put this over my lips. And just let that kind of just marinate to my lips. Everybody knows about this. I'm using the Milk of Magnesia. So the next thing I do is I add a little bit of Milk of Magnesia over the oily areas of my face. And I want to tell you to be a little careful with this. You don't want to use too much of the Milk of Magnesia on the face, because when it dries, it dries very thick. And I find for me, when I first did it, putting too much of it on, when I put my foundation over it, sometimes it can look a little patchy if you don't properly blend in your foundation. And then I also felt like my face felt like I was wearing too much foundation and powder. This was just too much. So what I do, I use a brush. This is actually a brush from BH. And I use a little bit of this Milk Magnesia, and I just brush it over the top very lightly, over the top of my cheeks, because this is where I have a lot of oiling, and it's very thin. Then I'll put a little bit of this Milk of Magnesia over the top of my nose as well, using my brush. Now all the products, with the exception of one or two, we do not carry at our store. You can also put a little bit of this over the top of the chin. So make sure it's a very thin layer, and make sure that it's also very blended, into the skin. All right. So I'm ready to start applying my makeup. The very first thing that I do is I begin with my eyebrows. I'm going to be using 2 shades of brow pencils to fill in my brows. And for my brows, I'm going to be using these NYX pencils. This is NYX medium brown, and then I'm going to be using the NYX dark brown. All right, these are also available at our store. You want to first make sure that your pencils are super sharp. This is to ensure that you get, perfect sharp brows. Your brows shouldn't be blurry. You should be able to see, very sharp, defined lines, provided that that's the look that you're going for too. Some people prefer more natural brows. Obviously, you wouldn't fill them in as much, and you wouldn't put too much of the pencil along the outline of the brow. Okay, so I'm using my softest shade to fill in my brow, to give it the shape that I want. Zoom in for me, Javonda. You can see what I'm doing. And once you get your brows groomed, get it into a proper cut, a proper shape, sorry, filling in is going to be like so easy. You would not believe it, how easy this is going to be if you get your brows properly shaped and groomed. So I fill in from top to bottom, going over the entire brow, making sure that it's evenly applied, and I'm also pressing very, very lightly onto my brow. Right, so the first brow is filled in. I'm going to do the next brow, same thing. Start at the very bottom. All right, this is how far your brow should stop. Right at the tip, it should be angled. It should begin at the inner corner of the eyes, likewise here, and you can see likewise there. And the more you do this, it'll become like second nature. You would not believe it. All right, second nature. So the key to getting perfect brows is practice, actually. I've been doing makeup for what? From 1999. And I think I just really perfected brows in the last, what, 6 years or so. So you just want to lightly fill in this brow. Alright? One trick tip to help you with filling in your brows. You want to make sure these are, it's even too, like these points, like the space right in here. They should be like balanced. So you can look and kind of eyeball it to see if you need to bring your arch over, if you need to make it thicker. You know, you're just back and forth with this, just like this. You know, making little adjustments. You know, I think when we do our brows, we just go in trying to get this one quick final look. You know, and it doesn't work like that. You have to take your time, you know, when you're doing your makeup. And obviously, the more you do it, the better you're going to become at it, the quicker you're going to be able to do it. And of course, I'm taking my time just because of this tutorial. And the next thing that you can do to help comb the product through, make sure it's evenly distributed, is you want to use your brow comb. Some people use a spoolie. Alright, spoolies were originally designed for your lashes, but you know how we go as women. You know, we can be very, very, very creative. So you can use your brow comb or you can use your spoolie. Comb that in there, make sure the brow is evenly distributed. The pencil is evenly distributed throughout the brow. Alright. Then the next thing I do, I go over my brow one more time with a darker pencil. This time I'm going to be using the dark brown from NYX. Just making sure my pencil is super sharp again. And I really need this pencil sharp for this part of the brow. Alright. Okay. Just along the bottom. And let me say too, there's like no one way to do this. As you can see, like on YouTube, there's so many people doing makeup, and everyone has their like own style. And so you need to, you know, you can look, see what they have to offer, and then you can tweak and adapt your style. You know, there's no manual on how to do like your makeup. You know, there's some principles you need to remember, yeah. But that's about it. And then makeup is like art. You could just do you, man. That's it, do you. You probably could edit that out. Go ahead. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, once my brows are filled in, I use a concealer. I'm using Tan from NYX. This pot, this kind of shade. I don't want it too white. I'm kind of chocolate, so you know, I don't want it to look weird. But I'm going to start like in my arch. You know, using the tip of this brush to push the product along my brow. Alright. Now, I'm going to use this concealer around the brow, but I want you to remember when you do this, you still have to remember to blend all of that away. And then when we do our brows, this inner portion that I'm doing right now, right in here, should actually be as close to your skin tone as possible. Alright, and you can just pull this product down. You can use your fingers as well. Nothing wrong with that. Alright, and then you can go over the top very lightly. Please stay away from white, very light, beigey colors, especially if you're dark. If you're very light skin, you know, that's a different story. But even with this look, I don't want this, I don't want to look too fake. You want to look as natural as possible. Natural as possible. Okay, I'll do the next brow, same thing. Using the very tip of my brush. To push the product along my brow. Alright, and we pull this all along the brow bone. This is the brow bone. This right here is your brow bone. Then again over the top. Over the top of my brow. Alright, just looking at the shape, I see where I need to just make some little adjustments. So I'm going to go under my pencil. And just make little adjustments with my brow. So it's okay to be back and forth, you know, with your pencil. And then I want you to always remember to soften up, especially this inner portion. It should never be a harsh line, because the way with the brow is naturally it's softer, shorter hairs in the inner middle portion of the brow, and then as it goes up into the center, it gets a little thicker and then thinner in shape as we go towards the tail end of the brow. All right. Just need to soften it up in there a little bit. Just making sure all these hairs are in place. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use a little bit of powder. Just to blend off the edges. You know, if you wanted to stop here, call it a day, you know, you could pretty much do that. So I use a little bit of powder just where the concealer ends, and this is to seal that, and then just, you know, soften so people don't see, you know, where your concealer ends. And you could do it over the top as well. All right. So our brows are done. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to finish my eyeshadow work. Okay. I'm going to be using NYX Day Club over my lids. And I'm going to also give under my eyebrows just a little more highlight. And to do that, I'm going to be using the 88 palette from BH Cosmetics. I'll point out which shade I use. Okay, again, because I'm very chocolate, I'm going to be using a shade that's not too bright. Actually, I'm going to be right here in this little pot right here. Just going to bake this up a little bit, put some of that on the applicator, and then I'm going to just get right in my arch. Alright. This can also help to, I'm turning over my applicator just to blend off so I don't add any more shadow, you know, where I don't want it. In the arch again, but a little lighter, going a little lighter, a teeny bit lighter, and just right in the arch. When you highlight your eyebrows, this highlight should not be over the entire brow. It should be right in the arch to give the illusion that your brow has even a little extra lift. All right, so I'm just keeping that right in the arch. I'm just going to pull a little bit of this product down. And this is just over the brow bone. Just over the brow bone. Just over the brow bone again. Blending that away. Alright. And if you get any product in your brows, you can remember you just kind of lightly comb it out. with your brow spoolie. Alright? So highlighter's on. The next thing I'm going to do is add some shadow over my lids. Firstly, I'm going to use eyeshadow base. This is number 1. Eyeshadow base, ESB1. We sell this at a store. And very lightly over the lid, from one end of the lid, over the ball of the eye, just this ball. I'm just going to apply this base. I'm going to go up, but I'm not going to touch my highlighting work that I already did. You know, that'll be just counterproductive, wouldn't it? So just over my lid. I'm going to go over this next lid, just a little, not too heavy. With this eyeshadow base. You want to apply this like you would like eyeshadow, and you want to make sure this too is evenly applied because it's cream based, and so the powder, the eyeshadow, once you put this on top of this, is going to set this in place, and however you apply, if you apply it nasty and all over the place, it's going to set nasty and all over the place. We don't want nasty all over the place makeup. You want neat makeup. That's what makes for good makeup, neat makeup. Alright. Okay, our eyeshadow base is on. The next thing I'm going to do is apply my eyeshadow. Like I said, I'm using Day Club by NYX. NYX has new formulas for the eyeshadow that I think you're going to absolutely love. Alright, so I'm putting this Day Club. It's a very natural looking kind of shade over my entire lids. Using an applicator, disposable applicator over the lid. I'm going to do the next eye. Alright. I notice you want to make sure that as you apply the shadow closer to the crease, that it fades out. The majority of your color should be at the base of the eyelids. Okay? To help you with blending it out, you can use a blending brush. A thinner one, mine is kind of full, so you can use a blending brush just along the crease, just to make sure that that eyeshadow is nicely blended. Alright. So the next thing I do is I'm again using a crease brush. I use a shadow. I'm actually going to be using the shadow that was made by a company in Eyebrow called Candy Face. I'm going to be using this just along the crease. Okay, use a smaller brush because I just want this just in the crease area. And you could just roll this just right along the crease. Do the next eye. This is called contouring. When we contour, we use darker shades. And then you can also sweep this in the inner corners of the eyes as well, not going into your arch. Okay. This is one of my favorite staples. I'm using Blunt from MAC actually. This is again in the crease. Blunt is just a shade shade darker than that first shade. You always want to start lighter when you're contouring, and then apply darker to your desired, you know, the depth that you want. Because, you know, you can make light darker, but you can't make dark light, at least not without it, you know, working so hard to do it. Next. Again in the crease, the ball of the eye, right in that ball, right along the crease, sweeping up. And I also like to take this blunt and go just in my brow just a little bit. That can help to soften up and fill in the brows as well. Just gonna take it a shade darker. I want to keep this, again, this is the eyeshadow, another shade. It's a very darker shade from this company in Eyebrow, Bahamas. Just in here. Just in the inner corners. Alright. Finish with my eyeshadow work. Next thing I'm going to use a liquid liner from BH. Alright. I love this liner. To create my wingtip, keeping it very thin. And then as I go out, I'm going to make it thicker, just to give me a nice angled eye. Okay. So the next eye, keeping it very thin in the inner corners. And as I go towards the end of my eyes, I'm going to swing up a little bit. You have to be very intentional with that, you know, if you want that look. Make sure getting that the inner corners in here, the cut, right to the cut of the eye. And then what I like to do, I like to go over my liquid liner with an even darker liner. And this is the retractable pencil in black by NYX. I love it to death. Okay, this is like super awesome. So it's very smooth, and I'm able to go over this black liquid liner and make it even darker. And this also helps give it some staying power as well. Like what people do, like makeup and stuff for weddings and, you know, special occasions. You want the makeup to last? Oh, this will last. All right. Because I have full eyes, I just like to go along my tear line a little bit with a little bit of this black pencil as well. On the tear line for full eyes, under the lash line for smaller eyes. Alright, and I go under my lash line as well. Connecting with my liquid liner. It should be, you know, one continuous flow. It shouldn't be any disconnects with your makeup, you know? It should be a flow. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is my foundation, powder, and a little more highlighting. Okay, so I'm gonna apply my foundation and my powder, but I'm gonna keep this very, very light. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna begin with is just a little bit of concealer underneath my eyes, just a little, not too much. You know, I'm using this is nutmeg, but I'm gonna mix this with a little tan. Tan is like a shade lighter, so I'm just gonna get right in the inner corners here. Because I don't really have that much bags or whatnot. This is highlighting and contouring, but again, this is for day, so I don't want to look too like overdone. And I like to put it right in this crease to help give my eyes just a little more lift in the outer corners of my eyes. So just along here, you can use your concealer brush to do this too. So right along, and if you can see as it cleans it helps to clean up any fallout shadow as well. And then again, right in the inner corner. All right, if you have like bags and lines, especially when you smile, you want to keep your concealer very light in there. Make sure it's nice and hydrated and moist, so to avoid the creasing. Keep it very light in there. So just gonna blend that away. Likewise on the other side. Just blend that away. Put a little bit of this down the center. Just down the center of my nose. This again is tan from NYX. Just a little down the center. This is beginning to be my base for my highlight. It's super humid in Nassau, so you know you don't want to be wearing too much makeup. And I kind of adopted the style from Alexandra Butler, very good makeup artist, very good teacher as well. And by applying the concealer and then taking your foundation, I'm going to be using Florrie Roberts shade in Chestnut, again using my blending brush. I'm just going to take this over the areas that, you know, I'm not going to go over my concealer work, keeping this very light because I don't want too much foundation on my face because I oil very easily. So I'm just looking for those areas where I have like spots and marks. And you can see it just kind of disappears. Obviously the trick too is finding a foundation that's as close to your skin tone as possible. Taking this along the jawline, over the areas where I have the milk of magnesia. So when you apply foundation, it doesn't have to be like caked and smothered all over the face. It doesn't have to be. You apply it where you need it. Alright. That's why we should be concerned more about skincare. You know. And not just trying to hide our skin. Again, looking for those areas. I'm using a blending brush from BH as well. Very nice brush. This could be like very tiring, but trust me, the finish, it's worth it, it's worth it, it's worth it, it's worth it. Okay, so now it's time to set my foundation. I'm going to be using Ben Nye Beige Suede. And I'm going to be also using Ben Nye Olive Sand, a little mix of the two. I know, it's weird, it's weird. Okay, so I'm going to use this very liberally over the entire face, you know. Very lightly with my brush. Again, I'm using a brush from BH. just to set, because my foundation is like almost a perfect shade for me. And by using these translucent powders, luxury powders, instead of another pressed powders, another way to help manage the oil. Alright, so I'm going to give myself a little more highlighting and contouring. I'm going to finish my lips, and that's going to be the end of this look. Alright, so just to give myself a little more highlight, I'm going to be using Florida Roberts Rose Gold Shimmer Powders. These are super, super cool. Using my blending brush, just putting it on the tip. I'm just going to go like along the nose, the top of the nose. Because remember, I'm going for a very light, subtle highlight. For daytime, I don't want to look too overdone. You can go into the club or photo shoot or something. I don't know. Alright, soften that just a little bit. Just a little bit of light over the top of the nose. Alright, I'm going to use my blush brush. I'm also going to put this highlight over the top of my cheeks as well. You want to smile and just go towards the hairline. It's a quick, easy way to give yourself a highlight and contour the face. Smile, up, smile, up. You can also put a little bit of this on the chin. But it's very soft, very subtle. Alright, then I'm going to use my blending brush again. I'm using the Blunt from MAC, just to give me a very soft, I want the soft contour. This contour should go like right underneath the cheek. Some people like to, you know, gauge it from the tragus going down. So right underneath the cheek, you know, should be very natural. Softening up these edges. You know, you want to be very mindful of edges, these eyeshadows and blush and everything else, because the face is round, doesn't have any sharp edges, so everything must look seamless. Alright, next side, just want that cheek to just kind of stick out there, so you make these crazy faces at yourself in the mirror. Just underneath the cheek. So bring that out. Very subtle. You can go along the hairline. This. Again, very soft and very subtle. And I also like to take this along the nose. I'm still using the Blunt from MAC. If you wanted something more dramatic, you know, I would use cream shadows, cream concealers, underneath the eyes, along the cheek, along the nose, if you wanted something a little more dramatic, you know. And I would do that, you know, when I apply my foundation at that stage. Okay. So that's it for my highlighting and contouring for my face. Alright, then the next thing I'm going to do my lips. So for my lips, it's very difficult to find like the perfect nude for like dark skin. So this is what I do. First off, I use nude truffle from NYX. is a lip pencil. This is a fill in my lips. Just along the lip line. Just along the lip line. Towards the inner part of the lip. I'm going to roll that in now. I use Espresso, also from NYX, just to darken the lip line a little bit, inner corners especially. I don't want this too dark. And then lastly, I actually use a concealer, tan, use my fingertip, just in the inner corner, because I like that shade. Just to fill in my lips. Love my highlight, just a little more over the cheeks. And voila!